Hey there, friends. This is Rachel on my way down VSG, coming with you to talk about my 18 months post vertical sleeve gastrectomy doctor's appointment and a few NSVs thrown in there. So, my stats are I am 34 years old, 6 foot tall, high weight 363 pounds, BMI 51. Surgery day, July the 6th, 2017 in Nuevo Laredo, Mexico with Dr. Villarreal. I weighed 319 pounds, BMI of 45. I beat obesity into remission 1 year ago, January the 11th, 2018, weighing 215 pounds. And I met my goal to be eligible to be an organ donor for my son on my first surgery, July the 6th, 2018, weighing 178 pounds, which put me at a 24 BMI. So, that's a lot of numbers. What do I weigh now? So today, I weighed in on my scale here at home at 182 pounds. I just double checked last night on my son's school scale, like in the locker room area. They have an official scale because they do, football, weightlifting, they do things like that. And on their scale, last night after I'd had everything to eat and drink, it said I weighed 178. And my doctor's scale read more than 5 pounds off of my scale too. So I'm really starting to think maybe my scale is the inaccurate one. I traveled with a little travel scale, and that read 5 pounds less too. But anyways, it's not a bad thing for me to really weigh 5 pounds less on any given day. I'm going to keep the scale I have, but just interesting. I think I'm right there at my healthy area. So just gonna keep on keeping on. It's been really nice that me and little Kansas Kitty, we have had just a little starch challenge, a little accountability challenge. We check in with each other, how's the day going, what's your plan, what are you doing? She's reminded me to get on top of my hydration. I've really been focusing on that. Not only hydrating, but hydrating at the right time. So I would love to be gulping down some water right now. But it hasn't been, it's only been like 25 minutes since I had lunch. And so anyways, hydrating and hydrating at the right time are a couple things I've been working on. I think I was getting a little on the dehydrated side before this week too, just over the holidays. And then naturally, of course, I've been on track with my diet and did a little extra exercise this week, got a few little jogs in. Nothing spectacular. I still haven't progressed off of the week 5 couch to 5K. Just because, I get comfortable. I do the same week for months and months and months. And so a 9-week plan is really probably like a 9-month plan for me. I don't know if that. I'm not real motivated when it comes to running. I mentioned to Gabe, Tom Cruise Mom Shoes that... Or no, we were talking about something different, sorry. I mentioned to VSG Joe, he was talking about making sure that you're passionate about your goals, whatever goals you set forth. And the truth is that my sister has asked me to run a 5K with her for like 3 years. And we did one together because she wanted to do that like for bachelorette weekend. Like that was her idea of a good time. So did it. I really lagged behind. I walked most of it. Yeah, it was cute pictures though. It was a color run. I might throw in a few pictures. So I had lost quite a bit of weight for her wedding because I was the maid of honor. So I, could have did better. But the point is that running is definitely not my passion, even though I think it's super healthy. And I do feel better. Like I did it in the mornings a few days this week, and it's such a great start to the day. Such a great start to the day. But anyways, enough of that. Wow, time goes by so fast when I'm talking to you. I can't believe it's already been 5 minutes. So stay with me if you can. So NSVs that I wanted to talk to you about is 2 years ago, I got this necklace from my parents, and it has the standard 16, 18-inch chain. I don't know, I didn't measure it, but all I know is that 2 years ago, it wouldn't come anywhere close to snapping. And my parents was like, oh, well, we'll get you a different chain. But they never did, and of course, I was too embarrassed to say, like, hey, remember that chain that I'm too fat to wear? Will you go buy me another one? And so I never went to the jewelry store, never really, bothered with it. But I found this the other day in my jewelry box, and I put it on, and it just fits really great. And so I'm proud to be wearing this now. Another thing is last year, no, it wasn't last year. It was 2 years ago also. My son got me this bracelet, and it was so tight that I wore it for like an hour, and it cut off all the blood circulation to my hand. And so I felt so bad, my son had just been shopping with his dad, and he said, oh, Mom would love that. I really want to get it for her. Please, please, please. And it cost more money than they should have spent. And so, I knew I was really grateful and excited to wear it, but I never could wear it after that Christmas Day 2 years ago. And so I got it out of the jewelry box, and it fits nicely. Just spin around, spin around. And last but not least, on jewelry front, I wanted to show this ring. This is a little dime store ring. But this year, my oldest son, he's 7, he wanted to buy gifts. And they were having a little holiday store at his school. And children could bring money and buy things and wrap it up and then just take it home and put it under the tree. So they had that full experience. And Noah asked us for money. And I said, I'm so happy that you want to do this, but you're going to have to earn your money. And so he did. He did all of these chores, not easy stuff. And we paid him minimum wage. He was not happy. He is the #1 advocate that minimum wage should be higher. He thought that his time was worth way more money. But anyways, I didn't even really think he was worth minimum wage, but anyways, I paid it. So I'm wearing this ring. It's an NSV because it's one of those rings that you can like pull in size. And this is the way he gave it to me, and he put it on my finger, and he was like, it fits. Like, like Cinderella putting on the slipper or something. Like, it fits, like it was meant to be. And I was so glad that we didn't have to like play around with it, stretch the ring out, make it to where it wouldn't close at all, and then pinch my skin. So enjoyed all those NSVs. Had a couple strange experiences. I'm not going to call these NSVs because they didn't feel like victories. They felt like the opposite. They felt like an insult, really. But I was walking down the aisle at the grocery store, and yes, I finally had to go to the grocery store. Haven't been in about 3 weeks, so that was good. I've been trying to buy less, waste less, like Jessie Cakes was talking about, and just clean out our freezer and pantry and everything. Anyways, at the grocery store, this gentleman, this guy, he comes up, he's saying hi to my youngest son. And I'm like looking at nutrition labels because that's just what I do. And so I'm kind of distracted. And he looks at me and he's like, hi. And I'm like, hi. And he says, I'm just here wasting some time. He's like, I took my friend to the doctor. And I was like, oh, that's nice. That's good. And I was like, I hope your friend gets a good doctor's report. He's like, he's not going to. And I was like, I'm sorry to hear that. He's like, no, don't be sorry. And I was like, okay. He's like, that's what you get when you weigh 300 pounds. He's 300 pounds. He should lose weight. And then maybe he wouldn't have to go to the doctor. Maybe he wouldn't have these problems. And I was like, oh. I was like, I struggle with that problem too. I was like, I do hope your friend gets a good doctor's appointment. And I'm sorry that he's having that struggle. And he said, what? He's like, you struggle with that too? And I was like, yeah, I do. And he's like, no. And I was like, yeah. I was like, you're talking to the wrong person. Like what in the heck? Like, that's just another thing, though, like, that I'm not in the club anymore. But anyways, I didn't talk any further. So many things I could have said. So many things I think I should have said, but I didn't go any further. And then that same day, I go out into the parking lot. I put my son in the car. He's listening to music. And I just have the back end open. It's 70 degrees. It's a beautiful day. And I'm unpacking the groceries. have a ton of groceries because this week the reason I had to go grocery shopping is because we got chose for classroom snacks, basketball league snacks, Head Start snacks. Like, I don't know, I got all these notes sent home that I have to provide snacks for like these 90 children. But anyway, so anyways, I have quite a few groceries and I'm unloading them. It's a nice day. And this random strange guy comes up and he's like, let me help you with that. And I was like, no, thanks, I got it. And he's like, are you sure? I'm more than happy to unload all your groceries. And this is just something that's never happened to me. And I wanted to say, like, where were you 200 pounds ago? Like, yeah, then I was really struggling. Like, I'm not, maybe I look like some kind of weakling now. I don't know. But I can assure you that I was struggling a lot more unloading these heavy boxes and stuff 200 pounds ago than I am today. And no, thank you. I don't need your help. I don't know. It was just a kind citizen, though. I said no, thank you. I was nice about it. He looked surprised, like I really needed the help or something. I don't know. Just weird stuff. Yeah, great. Now we're 11 minutes in. Sorry. Okay. We'll talk about my doctor's appointment quickly. So, it started off with the check-in paperwork. They emailed it to me. They wanted me to fill it out. It was over 20 electronic pages of paperwork. Very, very thorough. Never seen anything like it. And this is not my bariatric surgeon. I don't know if I've shared this with y'all. Maybe I have once. My original bariatric surgeon from my lap band 11 years ago, I refused to ever go back and see him. He was out in the hall talking with a nurse. The door was shut to my room, but I could hear everything they were saying. And Dr. Ronnie Keith, he was like, I'm so sick of all these patients. They all think that I'm a magician, not a doctor. They think I should just wave my magic wand and they should all be skinny. Or they should all lose weight, is what he said. And it did not sit right with me, and I refused to ever go back and see him again, which was bad because it was really hard to find another bariatric surgeon to take me, and it took years, took a long time. So it's no wonder the lab band didn't work for me. It was a terrible, terrible thing no matter what, but anyways, that is what it is. I did find another bariatric surgeon. And another thing I'm going to say about that Dr. Ronnie Keith, like, I should have known from day one. There's something about like believing in the product you sell and everything. And he came in and he is a morbidly obese individual. And my husband didn't like that from day one. Not because he was being like stereotypical, but like, if you have this treatment for obesity and you believe in it, then you should probably be a part of it. But I was like, oh no, like I still want to use him. Like, he's center of excellence. He's here, like he's not really here. Like, I drove over 3 hours to see him. But anyways, I was like, he can't do surgery on himself. Like, like this is okay. But really, hindsight's 2020. It wasn't okay. I should have, went with the first gut instinct and ran immediately. But anyways, I've talked enough about that. So anyways, I refused to see him. Took me years, finally found another bariatric surgeon. And then, and he was going to take care of me when I got back from Mexico. He knew I didn't have coverage. He was supportive about me being healthy no matter what. And he's helped me for many years. He's like a family friend basically now. But he had a massive stroke after I got back from Mexico. And so then I lost that bariatric surgeon. So I haven't had a bariatric surgeon here in the United States. I called like 4 that are within an hour and a half radius, and none of them would take me. And anyways, I hate that that's where we're at as a country. But I had my 18-month follow-up scheduled with my OBGYN, and she's always been like a primary care physician. Like, she's taken care of every aspect of my health. And I have been with her for 11 years. So, anyways, I've been with her for 14 years. I've been with her since I got married in 2005. So, anyways, going on 14 years. So, I should wrap this story up. I fill out all this paperwork, this check-in paperwork, and it has all these pages. And it gets to the page of what kind of diet do you have? Do you have, I just wrote it down here, do you have a vegetarian diet, a regular diet, a heart-healthy diet, or a diabetic diet? And I was like, man, I don't have any of those things. I don't know. And so I just tried to skip the question. It wouldn't let me continue. So I was like, okay, we'll call it a diabetic diet. So I click that and it lets me go on. It's like sample menu. And so basically I just took what I eat, like in lieu of our community, I just took what I eat Wednesday. I took the Wednesdays out of my MyFitnessPal for the last 5 weeks, and that's the sample that I put in the computer. And so they send that to the nurse and to her, and they review it, and I come in, I get my blood work, and then I go in. And I go in and just I don't know what kind of reaction I was wanting to get from her. I hadn't seen her since I gave birth to my son. When I had the emergency C-section with my baby who had gastroschisis, I weighed 297 pounds that day. And so she hadn't seen me in 150 pounds. I expected her to have somewhat of a reaction. She didn't. She didn't have, much of a reaction at all. She just said, I'm glad you're doing well. I expected her to ask about my son, since she assisted in delivering my very medically fragile child, but I was disappointed. I was disappointed we were in the NICU for 5 months, and that's next to her office, and she never came to check on us or visit or anything, even though all the other doctors did. And yeah, I don't know. It's just different. But, she didn't have a great reaction, but that's not what I'm there for, her kind of reaction. But she did say, so you're doing a diabetic diet, so you're diabetic now. And I was like, no, I'm not diabetic. I was like, you just didn't have a choice for me to choose from. And she's like, well, this doesn't make any sense. She's like, what kind of diet are you doing? And I was like, and I told her it was like low carb and high fat. And she's like, well, that's the last thing you need to be doing. And she's like, if you want to maintain your weight, you need to have fruits, vegetables, and an occasional lean protein. And that's how she said it. She's like, oh, and you need to exercise. I was like, I am. And she was like, and see, your cholesterol's high. I was like, what do you mean my cholesterol's high? Like, this is news to me. Like, okay. I was like, what is it? What are the numbers? And she's like, okay, your total cholesterol is 231. Your LDL, so the bad cholesterol, is 131, and your HDL is 100. She's like, your bad cholesterol is too high. And I was like, I'm not overly concerned about that. But she's like, you need to be. She's like, you need to take care of that. And she's running way behind schedule, and basically she just ran out of the room at that point. Like, there was no more conversation or anything. I think that's kind of like typical about how so many physicians just throw out some kind of, problems, throw out some kind of diagnosis, and then it's like, you need to take care of that. Like, was her idea that I'd take care of that with fruits and vegetables and an occasional lean protein? Is that what she thinks is going to reduce my cholesterol? Because I haven't seen any research that says that's going to reduce my cholesterol or has worked. Anyway, so that wasn't too pleasant. I did weigh in her office that day. I think I mentioned it was 175, so still in the 24 BMI category. The last thing I wanted to mention, something that just really just ticks me off, is I got a bill in the mail. I got a bill in the mail from the lab work that I had done, and my insurance 100% declined to pay for any of my lab work. And I called my insurance. I was like, why did you decline all my lab work? It's pretty standard stuff. There's nothing unusual. And they're like, for a not covered diagnosis. And I was like, what's the not covered diagnosis? He's like, you have to call the lab and see. All we see is the numbers here. So I called the lab, and I was like, I'd just like to know what primary diagnosis my doctor put down that caused my lab work to be declined from my insurance. And RML Laboratories in Tulsa, Oklahoma, they actually told me that I'm unable to see the diagnosis that my doctor wrote on my paperwork. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. And he's like, no, that's private information. You're not able to have it. I'm like, I am the patient. We are talking about me. What do you mean my diagnosis is private from me? I was like, since when can you withhold my diagnosis? You know, it's the craziest thing I ever heard. And it's like, well, you can submit it in writing if you want. And so they give me the email. I email over, I want my medical record. I want it including the order. And they write me back, sorry, you can have your doctor call us and change the diagnosis or see what the diagnosis she put if she would like, but that's who we need to talk to. And I was like, I'm not asking you to change anything. I just want to know the information to see if my insurance is telling the truth. Through the process of elimination, my insurance pretty much covers everything except for any kind of weight loss surgery. So I was assuming that my OBGYN must have wrote vertical sleeve gastrectomy as my primary diagnosis. And so I called her and I just told her, I said, I'm assuming that this is what you did. I was like, I have a problem with it on so many different levels. Like, I have a problem that, number one, that insurance won't cover weight loss surgery because I think that any recognized disease in the DSM book that if it's a disease, a treatment should be approved. And so we have this disease, but insurance doesn't have to cover the gold standard treatment. So I have a problem with that from the get-go. But moreover, I said, you know, here I am 18 months out, a healthy BMI, no reported health problems whatsoever, and I don't think it's necessary to put VSG as my primary diagnosis. I was like, this really has nothing to do with why I came to see you. I was like, I think that a general healthy person would deserve to have this lab work, whether they had weight loss surgery or not. To me, it's the same thing as me having cancer, going through chemotherapy treatment, and then 2 years later, she puts when I'm not having any kind of treatment, my cancer's in remission, and she's putting chemotherapy as my primary diagnosis. Like, it just does not make any sense to me whatsoever. So after I talked to my doctor for quite some time, she agreed that she would change the diagnosis. She wasn't overly happy about it. I'm not overly happy about it. Anyways, it is what it is. We'll see how it comes back. I'm going to fight this, of course, this bill one way or another. But I might be stuck with it because of the way it went down. But if I do get stuck with it, and that's the kind of reaction that it's going to be, like where I can never have blood work again with this doctor, I'm not going to see this doctor anymore. Because for one, I'm wondering if I should see her anyway, since she's not supportive of the health journey I'm on. It doesn't feel like. But anyways, I've kept y'all for 22 minutes. I'm so sorry. Hopefully you have time to watch this. If not, I completely understand. Love you all. Keep God on your mind and in your heart. Be successful, friends.